Welcome to Deep Thought. Can't shame a person who is shameless. You know what? And I see this a lot in these YouTube spaces when, especially when people are trying to dox somebody or they trying to find out some information about them, and they might find out something and then they'll try to shame the person. Like, oh yeah, this happened to you. This happened to you. This happened to you. I'm gonna tell you what. Shame is a powerful weapon. But what happens if you run into somebody who's shameless? Think about it. What happens when you run into somebody who is shameless? Like, they either shameless for two major reasons. One, they accept everything that's happened to them in life, embrace it, and say, you know what, yeah, I was bad, I did all this. I'm good with it now because I learned something, I grew from it. You can't shame that person because they're shameless about it. It's like, yeah, I did all that. In fact, they'll probably tell you themselves. Like, you can't shame somebody and they say, well, yeah, I did. I'm still here. I learned a lot, And they might not feel bad about it, but they say, you know what? Yeah, I made some mistakes. But they not holding on to it. And usually people like that, they found a way to forgive themselves. They made restitution. And, they just good. It's like they accept it. Like, I'll use myself for an example. I accept everything I've done bad in the past. I accept every single thing. You know why? I learned from it. Seriously, I learned from it. And y'all wouldn't hear me today, or I wouldn't be able to help people now if I didn't go through some stuff and learn how to get out of it. Then when people hit me up about certain things, I was like, oh, you know what? I can help this person because I went through it. And I would say this, we're human. Everybody's going to make mistakes. Anybody who say they haven't done something questionable, haven't made a mistake in the past, I will look them dead in the eye and say they capping. I would look them dead in the eye. I say, okay, that means since you said that, I want to go see you walk on water. That means you should be perfect. Nobody is. But but that's just one type. Another type is just a straight up sociopath. They just don't care. Those are dangerous. That's a dangerous individual. You can't even hit them with anything. They like, yeah, okay. I give you an example of this. I remember playing in this intramural basketball game when I was a sophomore in college. And this player for the other team hard fouled this guy like it was some vicious stuff. I'm surprised fists weren't thrown. And the dude sat there. He was on the, while the player was on the free throw line, dude was standing on the side of the lane like, yeah, I did it. Now what? It's like, oh, damn. Everybody just said, just shook their head and just kept playing. You can't shame that person. And see, the thing is, some people, when they even try to shame somebody, they're not coming from a place of trying to help anything. That's their weapon. Understand something. That's their weapon to use a lot of times to either be a bully or to try to bring down somebody that is upsetting their spirit. They trying to attack somebody. They trying to call themselves, bring them down to their level. Say, you did this. No, I ain't say I didn't do it. Now, the only time a person should feel some shame is if it's a blatant lie. And even then, what does it change? Because the thing with a shameless person, whether they on the good side of it, bad side of it, you can't, they actually, in a way, so hopefully it's on the good side, but unfortunately it can be on the bad side a lot more. They just good with themselves. Actually mentally strong. Because what's happening is somebody is trying to attack them and trying to get a psychological attack, a mental attack, make them feel bad. But if someone is comfortable with who they are or what they did, you can't do that. And then it's like, okay, that didn't work. Now what? Now what? Yeah, you did those things. Now what? And it's especially bad when the person's sociopath, because that's a person that's potentially dangerous. That could be potentially some demon lover stuff right there. Say individual that just hurts people and just don't care. Those are the worst ones. Those are the worst ones. But you can't shame them. And in fact, I would say, if you find somebody and they doing some terrible stuff, one, ask yourself, okay, what can I do to stop the actions outside of trying to shame the person? You know, you might have to limit something. You might have to just roll away from that person and say, you know what, they're gonna do what they do. I'ma let them. They just gotta stay away from me. You know. In some cases, law enforcement might have to get involved. Okay, it's something. But you can't really use that language or try to. And indeed, and I touched on this for a second, but, a lot of people even try to use that as a weapon. They're not good for themselves. They're not good. They're not really good people themselves. So they doing a bad thing to try to get at a person who they might have considered doing a bad thing. And I'm like, two wrongs don't make a right. They don't. They do not. And then, like I said, you got some people, they accept all the mistakes they've made in the past. They accept it. They don't feel bad about it. They're like, hey, I did this, I learned from it. Some people laugh at it, so you can't really get them. And then that type of person who's just a sociopath, you might want to leave them alone. That's the type of person can kill you with zero remorse. That's a terrible person. But you can't do it. You can't do it. It's not a good weapon. It don't change anything. But yeah, some people do it. They try. And they try to say that. And, the person, sometimes they try to use them through religion or something. What if that person ain't religious? I don't usually talk about religion on here, but say somebody try to use their Christian faith, or at least what they say is their faith, to shame someone and say, oh, yeah, you're going to go to hell. And the person looking at you like, I'm an atheist, though, man. I'm laughing about that. Because, see, that's the thing about shame. The person has to feel something, And I'll just say this in general. Don't waste time trying to shame somebody. Don't waste time. Because at the end of the day, does it change anything? Does it make you feel better? Probably not. You'll find you still have the same issue. Is it changing that person's behavior? In most cases I've seen in life, it never has. I'm just be real with you, it never has. I ain't gonna say it hasn't happened for somebody, but I can't think of one instance I've actually seen it actually change someone's behavior. Like I said, if there's a problem, you deal with the stuff you can control. Like I said, sometimes you might have to keep away from that other person. You might have to keep your distance. You might have to do some stuff to actively limit any negative effects that they're having, like, even physical restraint sometimes. But ultimately, you can't shame a person who's shameless. All right? And, well, y'all know how I do stuff. I talk about random stuff on here. And that just came up. So anyway, I'll get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.